Welcome, everyone, to the Commentary Podcast. I am your host, Pat Brennan. Today on the podcast, we are going to be watching Jurassic Park. It was released in 1993. It is directed by Steven Spielberg, and it is written by Michael Crichton and David Koepp. The film stars Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, Richard Attenborough, Bob Peck, Martin Ferrero, B.D. Wong, Samuel L. Jackson, Wayne Knight, Joseph Mazzallo, and Ariana Richards. The film is set on the fictional island of Isla Nublar, where a wealthy businessman, John Hammond, and a team of genetic scientists have created a wildlife park of de-extinct dinosaurs. When industrial sabotage leads to a catastrophic shutdown of the park's power facilities and security precautions, a small group of visitors, including Hammond's grandchildren, struggle to survive and escape the island. Joining me for this rewatch of Jurassic Park is Raf Stitt. He is the host of the Canon podcast, which I was lucky enough to be on about a month or so ago, and we talked about Close Encounters of the Third Kind, another Spielberg film. I will drop all of his info and his podcast info in the episode bio, so yeah, give him a follow and check out his podcast. Now I'm going to be watching the 4K copy I have of Jurassic Park, but it is currently streaming on Netflix. It is also available to rent on Apple for $4, on Vudu for $4, and on Amazon for $4.49. I say we get things kicked off. We are going to be pressing play, and I hope you do as well, on Jurassic Park in 3, 2, and 1.
Awesome.
And here we go. Jurassic Park. I feel like I've done like half of Spielberg's filmography already on this thing.
It's not a bad way to go.
I know, I'm like, because I'm doing the director series with Nolan, so it's like, I mean, I want to do Spielberg, but I guess I'll just rewatch.
You're essentially already doing it.
I'll just rewatch them. It's fine. We'll do another one.
Yeah, why not?
But it's like, it's great though, because like, say we're doing this one, and then for the director series, I have like the two co-hosts with me. But it'll be a different perspective from like their point watching it. So it's like good to like do it with other people again.
Yeah, for sure.
I have the 4K of this, and it's like so clear. It's like
Same.
Like Same. The details just like so insane.
It's amazing. This is a movie that I can watch maybe once a month. So I figured, like,
is this your favorite Spielberg?
Maybe not my favorite, but it's got to be up there for one of his best, if not the best. I think his best works are either this or Schindler's List, in my opinion, which is just insane that they both came out in the same calendar year and are two of the best movies ever made. He's done a lot of other like two releases in the same year, but I think in terms of just quality of filmmaking, he's operating on a completely different level in this movie and in Schindler's List.
Yeah, he's done it like these two are the same year. I think he did Lost World and Amistad the same year. Catch Me If You Can and Minority Report same year. Munich War of the World same year.
Yeah.
Tintin and War Horse same year.
Yes.
And then you can make the argument, I guess, with The Post and Ready Player One. They kind of came out within the same like year timeline, not the same exact year, but
like within 12 months of each other.
Yeah. I think the writer of The Post, I think her name's Kristen Hanna. She said that on the set of The Post, he would be like looking at like iPad, like key art for like Ready Player One, and he would okay it and then go talk to Meryl Streep about the scene. It's like, that's like wild.
Insane. Like, absolutely bonkers.
Dude's just operating on another level. Like,
what was the deal with this one in Schindler's List? I think he had already shot Jurassic Park.
He shot this first. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was shooting Schindler's List, and then would go back to his trailer and like work on the editing for this movie.
Hmm. He said that
But
he would drive to the Schindler's List set in like John Williams. At the time, they just had cassette tapes, and he like sent him the cassette. He's like, I'm thinking this for the theme. So he was like driving to the Schindler's List set, listening to the theme of Jurassic Park, and he said it was the weirdest thing in my entire life.
yeah,
like
it's
listening
so
to this,
weird.
going to the most depressing thing, like
Yeah,
listening to like arguably one of the most iconic themes of all time. Like people know the Jurassic Park theme.
like a theme that like brings people genuine joy,
Yeah.
you know, while on his way to shoot something about just like the worst atrocity ever.
Hmm. Like insane.
I think he said that being able to like leave the Schindler's List set and then go back, to wherever he was staying and work on editing and putting together Jurassic Park, like kind of saved his like his mental
Oh
headspace.
yeah.
Because otherwise he would have just been like consumed by the bleakness of Schindler's List.
Hmm.
So this kind of, allowed him some sort of joy, or like reprieve, like from all of that while working on it. So like maybe in a way, like the two movies kind of benefit from being made around the same time.
Hmm.
Like there's like a yin and a yang sort of thing going on there between the two of them.
Hmm. God, the backlight in that shot is just so like strong. Like
Yeah.
you just use like, I mean, I always point it out. I've probably pointed it out like how many episodes I've done on Spielberg so far. Like every single time I see it, just like look at that backlight. That's just like such unnatural lighting that just works.
Yeah.
Like
The man
he's
can
the
light a set.
ultimate backlight guy. It's like look at that backlight. And it's kind of wild though. I don't know if a lot of people know, but George Lucas actually edited a lot of this movie for Spielberg because he was shooting Schindler's List. He said, "Yeah, George would like basically get the bare bones of it, and then we would go in together and we would just do it together." Like that's why I think George Lucas might be credited at the end, but he's like not credited as the editor.
Yeah. That's so funny because most people think of George Lucas as needing his own editors because he's like so wild and full of ideas,
Hmm.
but doesn't know how to focus everything. And I feel like it's pretty easy to say that Jurassic Park is one of the like best edited movies. It's so clean and it's like pacing and
Hmm.
how scenes sort of like move within themselves and then how sequences tie together. Like it's all very, very clean on that front. So it's funny to think that someone like Lucas would be credited with,
I
putting this
know.
movie together.
All of these costumes are so 90s. It's like the funniest thing.
Insanely 90s.
Like just that image right there, just so 90s.
All the flannels.
Yeah, so many flannels.
Great look. There's a dude with
The
like,
all Gene for Lar Lar Dern.
yeah,
Like,
the Canadian tux.
yeah.
I don't know if you caught the guy in the back with like a crazy, I want to call it a mullet and some wild
Mm.
sunglasses that like aren't quite Oakley's, and like the shortest jean shorts. It was a insane look.
Honestly, like this, I always tell people like this is like vintage now, and this is like made a comeback. These 90s looks have made such a comeback.
Hmm. Yeah, the guy on the left, he like that's how like frat guys dress now.
I know.
That look has come all the way back.
Yeah.
It used to be for dinosaur nerds, and now it's for,
Now it's for frat guys.
yeah,
They've retired the sports jerseys and now they dress Jurassic Park 90s.
yeah. They also dress like this kid.
Yeah.
Or I get that's more like
Uh,
that's like the Brooklyn hipsters.
oh yeah, I remember the rumor that this was supposed to be like Chris Pratt's character because he was talking about the
Oh,
Raptors.
yeah.
But I think it was debunked. But I was like, that's not a bad idea, honestly. Like I could see it.
I had
It's
never
actually
heard that theory. That's
yeah, like
interesting though.
it's because he like basically just like breaks down what a raptor would do to this kid, and then the kid I guess would become like fascinated by raptors,
Hmm.
and then obviously Chris Pratt's character like trains the raptors. It's kind of wild though. Like, I mean, Spielberg's only made what? Maybe is the Lost World the old? No, besides Indy, but like Lost World's like the only other sequel he made, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's definitely kind of a drop off from this movie, but I mean, I like this franchise. I consider this franchise, besides the first one, kind of like a Fast and Furious kind of. Like they just kind of get
Interesting.
super, super ridiculous. Because at the same time, you're like,
Yeah.
this plot's dumb, and like for like Jurassic World and all this like Fallen Kingdom and Dominion and everything, you're like, I mean, at the same time, like there's also dinosaurs running around. So like, what kind of realistic plot can you think of with this
Yeah.
movie? Like, and I guess that's what
Dinosaurs are rad.
separates like the other movies from this one, because this one is just like so groundbreaking technological wise and story wise. Like everything is just perfect. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you get to Lost World, it kind of gets a little like, eh. Like when you get to the end of Lost World, when they're in like San Diego, you're like, eh,
Yeah.
this whole third act kind of takes me out of the movie. Um, I mean, I like Jurassic Park 3. I guess I like the trilogy. And then when you get to like Jurassic World, it gets very like CGI heavy, and
Yeah.
but
I do have
they
a
make
soft
money,
spot
so
for three.
I like 3 a lot. I mean, like our age, like we grew up with these movies, so it's like I'm sure if you watch 3 now, you've never seen it before, you're like, this movie's not good.
Yeah. I mean, I love a good William H. Macy performance, you know?
Oh yeah. My favorite part of that movie is just like the entire part of the beginning where like Sam Neill's entire character is just like Alan Grant's like giving TED Talks, be like, I'm nothing will get me back on that island. And it takes is William H. Macy to be like, hey, I have money. And he's like, when do we leave? Like, it's just like one scene. He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I got money. When do we leave?
That's
Like,
hilarious. That's so good. John Hammond,
Richard Attenborough.
absolute legend.
If people don't know, his brother does the Planet Earth narration in all of those science documentaries.
I didn't realize that they were brothers.
They're
I
siblings.
should have put that together. Yeah. It makes way too much sense. I went to a wedding maybe 2 years ago, and I kid you not, there were like four dudes, four older gentlemen who were all dressed like John Hammond.
I know I have this Funko Pop, but it doesn't stand up anymore. Yes, I have Funko Pops. Sue me.
Hell yeah. Funko Pops are rad.
I know when I went viral on Twitter with my movie room, I was ripped apart for owning Funko Pops. that was the,
Too many
that was
DVDs
the,
and having Funko Pops.
yeah. They said the DVDs were fine. It was the Funko Pops where they drew the line. Like,
Interesting. Okay. To each their own, I guess. Well, whatever floats your boat.
I know. Let people enjoy things, man.
Yeah. I feel like you went a little viral recently.
I feel like I go
Again.
viral like a lot now, and I don't like it. I just mute and then I just move on. Like I
So
don't like engage anymore. I think I
I
went
s-
viral with the Country for Old Men ending. That went viral.
oh, I don't know if I saw that one. I think I saw there's another one of I think it was like rewatching the same movie over and over again and like someone cheering.
It was Anne Hathaway when she was like crying during the SAG
Yeah,
Awards. Yeah, that got like 55,000
amazing.
likes.
Also, the kind of how I feel about this movie. Like I've seen it so many
Oh
times
yeah.
and each time I'm moved to tears. But
Oh
with that Anne
yeah.
Hathaway one, I one of my buddies, he saw it going around and he did his own quote tweet. And I was like, yo, that's my boy Pat. What are you doing quote
I
tweeting
know
him?
the
And
guy.
he was like, what do you mean? How do you know this guy? How do you know this random viral Twitter dude? I was
I
like, don't
know.
worry about it.
Sometimes Letterbox will like post some of my tweets to like their Facebook page, and like people send them to me. I'm like,
It's
damn.
hilarious. Whoever's getting letterbox Facebook memes, that is like
I
a
know.
wild
Who's
that's a wild
also
thought.
who's on Facebook right now, like searching
Yeah,
for stuff.
what's the Venn diagram of people who are like aware of Letterboxd and it's what it's used for, but
And on
also
Facebook.
on Facebook enough to see their memes. That's a weird cross section of people.
I
Again, to
love
each
this.
their own, do your thing, but
Oh, look, it's Newman. Hello, Newman. I don't know if you watch Seinfeld, but
oh, way too much.
I love the sound effect they do here. When he opens the shaving cream can, and
Hmm.
um, when he like squeals, it sounds like a raptor. Like when he opens it, it's like
Oh,
perfect sound design. Like it sounds like a raptor.
amazing. I don't think I've ever noticed that.
Yeah, it's like right when he's like, I think it's right here when he like breaks it down.
Hmm.
I think you always have to have this character in this movie, like the greedy guy. He's the inside man. He's the greedy guy.
Dude, Wayne Knight's run in the mid 90s
It's like right
between
here,
this,
right
Seinfeld,
here. I think it's
and
right here.
oh, yeah,
I guess yeah, right there. It's like it sounds like a raptor, like squeal. It's very interesting sound design.
that's really cool. I had not noticed that.
It's almost like they're like preparing you for what the sounds that are about to come.
Yeah,
Because he's supposed to put the DNA in there, so it's like when you open that, like obviously you're gonna put the raptor DNA in there. So it's like here's a raptor sound.
that's so good. Dude, Spielberg, man, he's the best at marrying like mass pop entertainment with extremely layered and nuanced like language of cinema
Mm-hmm.
in a way that I don't think that those two things have ever been married before or since him.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people have like, people might say Nolan or Denis in sort of the modern uh era, but I, I
Mm-hmm.
can't really think of anyone before Spielberg who was able to do it on the same level that he was.
Yeah, maybe Hitchcock. Maybe
Yeah, maybe.
like Hitchcock was that name back then. Like everyone knew Hitchcock.
Hmm.
Um, no, but I agree. But I think the more I watch this movie, it clearly, like even with that sound, you see Alan Grant with the raptor claw. He was talking about raptors before. You're like, it's so obvious that they're trying to like raptors are the most obvious creature they're going to be dealing with during this. Like the T Rex is obviously there, but
Hmm.
raptors are the real ones you need to look out for
Yeah.
because
The
they've given you essentially three raptor references already. Like,
Yeah, and well, there's that opening scene too of
mm-hmm.
the raptor attack.
So
So,
it's like
oh, this
it's basically
freaking
just about
score, man.
raptors.
This freaking score.
I know. I need like a vinyl of this.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, Williams is obviously goated, and it's almost impossible to name one of his scores like his most iconic.
I
I
know.
put this is in the
Like
running for top three.
Jurassic Park, Jaws, E.T., Indiana
Star Wars,
Jones,
Indiana
Star
Jones.
Wars, Harry Potter, Home
Yeah,
Alone, Home Alone. The Home Alone theme is just John Williams.
yeah.
Like,
I do love Home Alone.
I know. I feel like just movies
Uh,
like don't have. I think kind of do like. I guess Dune like because like people would say John Williams and Hans Zimmer are like the goats for movies.
hmm.
Um, I feel like just movies just like don't have themes anymore. They're more
No,
just
at
like kind
least
of sound design. I mean, Dune kind of does have the theme when they have like I guess like the background people like singing kind of. So it's kind of
yeah.
like a theme.
I don't know
You
if
don't
that's
have like
as
these.
instantly recognizable the way
Oh
that
yeah, any
that
John
any
Williams
of
is.
yeah. You play this score for most any person walking the earth right now, and they're gonna know what movie it's
It's
from. You
Jurassic
play
Park.
the Star Wars theme, and
Yeah,
everyone's gonna
Star
know
Wars.
what it's from.
Yeah, or
Dune
even the
is great,
Jaws.
and
Jaws is
if
like two
you're
notes.
yeah, Jaws is you play two notes from Jaws, and everyone knows what that means. It's insane. I do want to quickly go back to something that we just saw in the helicopter, which I
Hmm.
feel like has been brought up in many discussions about this movie, but just in case there's anyone who's listening who's not super familiar with this, when they show everyone buckling up when things are getting a little rocky, you'll see that Dr. Grant has two, I guess we'll call it female parts of the belt.
Hmm.
So he's
Hmm.
not able to actually buckle it, but he ties them together because life finds a way, which obviously foreshadows, the fact that
Hmm.
all of the dinosaurs on the island are females, but they find a way to procreate because life uh finds a way.
When I tell you, it took me so long to find that in that scene. I don't know when it was. Maybe it was like 10 years ago. I went, oh, when he like ties
Yeah,
them together, I was like, oh my God, he tells you the movie right there. It's right
it's
there.
and again, it just like goes back to he's really able to Spielberg is able to like make these really complex things really, really simplified in ways that aren't beating you over the head, but still
Hmm.
making you aware of like what the movie is trying to do.
Hmm.
And I'll pause here because this is probably the best moment in the movie.
Arguably one of the most, I say, one of the most important moments in film history is this scene right here
Hmm.
when it came to CGI. Because I mean, I was only 1 years old when this came out, but I mean, I'll let it play when we get to this next shot. Is the most important shot in film history, right there.
The wonder in Laura Dern's eyes is just like
Mm-hmm.
totally shared by all audience members when watching this.
Because yeah, I was only one when this came out, and people that were in the theater that said when it cut from Laura Dern right to the dinosaur right there, they're like people in the theater like audibly gasped. They were in awe of what they were looking at from
Yeah.
CGI standpoint. And even when James Cameron saw this, Lucas and like when he saw the final cut of
Hmm.
this, it gave them the inspiration to then this gave Lucas the inspiration to write their Star Wars prequels because he said I could the CGI tech like it's there now I can do it,
Yeah.
and it gave I think James Cameron wrote Avatar after this, um, which is wild to think about
Yeah.
because he watched this movie then. But yeah, this I always say this is one of the most important moments in film history when it came to CGI being fully immersed in movies,
Hmm.
which is like wild. Like it's of course it was Spielberg that did it. Like of course it
Of
was him.
course. Yeah, he was the one to
Like
figure it out. Yeah.
yeah. He's like, anyway, I gotta
Yeah.
go shoot Schindler's List now. You
Yeah.
guys can handle this, right? Like,
You guys are cool with this? All right. I'm gonna go make the most heartbreaking
yeah,
Holocaust movie that anyone's ever seen or will ever
and then
see.
make also another one of the greatest movies ever made in the same year.
Yeah. Like an absolute madman.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. Damn. Here we
Iconic.
go. Yeah, this song on the score is called Journey to the Park, and I listen to it all the time.
Amazing.
as I drive, pretending I'm in Jurassic Park.
Yeah. It's like a
Pretending
great
I
piece of music to wake up to.
pretending I made this movie. That's like the what I do in LA. I'll drive around pretending I made things and be like, yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not cool, actually.
Just go to parties and tell people that your
Could you
name is
like
Steven.
yeah, could you imagine like say like you're like Spielberg like premiere night, like that image came up and the theme and you're sitting there and people are cheering in the theater, you're like, yeah, I'm the fucking man, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I fucking nailed that.
Yeah. I think it's interesting watching that scene because so much of the reaction of Dern's character and Neil's character
Oh, yeah,
is
it's
just like a
all in.
reflection of the audience. right?
Mm-hmm.
Like at one point, Dr. Grant says, "How did you do all this?" And there were
Yeah.
people in the audiences why watching this movie for the first time in '93 thinking, "Steven, how the hell did you do all of this?"
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's all like you're basing that entire reaction just on those actors' expressions. Like they got to be good. like,
Yeah, they have to sell the
like
shit out of that.
they like. I mean, I guess you'd to them as a director be like, all right, now you're seeing an actual dinosaur. Like, what would your reaction be? like, as a human being, what would your reaction be if you saw a dinosaur walking around? And as we were recording this, I guess like a couple of days ago, they cast Scarlett Johansson in the new reboot of Jurassic Park movies, so that should be
Oh,
interesting.
interesting.
I heard Jennifer Lawrence turned it down. I guess they wanted Jennifer Lawrence first.
Yeah, I mean, she's already gotten all of her money.
Yeah, I'm sure she's like, I did Hunger Games. I'm good. I don't need
Did
to do
Hunger
that
Games
anymore.
and X-Men.
Yeah, I don't need to do that stuff anymore.
Yeah. Although Johansson, she did all the Marvel movies, so she
yeah,
should be good there. But who knows? Maybe Colin Jost is a very irresponsible spender, and she just,
he's a degenerate gambler. So,
yeah. So light
uh,
accusation.
yeah. Don't kill me, Colin. No, you're definitely not listening to this. So I think I should be good.
He
I
might
think
be.
I should
You
be
never
good.
know. You never
Yeah,
know. He's a huge
he DMs
Jurassic Park
me.
fan. Yeah.
He DMs me. What the fuck, dude? I loved your
Yeah.
podcast. Rating a 1 star now.
Yeah. No, Colin. I lost him. This is another just incredible scene for so many different reasons. The first one being the Mr. DNA character, who
hmm
is a really, really, really cool tool to take essentially all of the science from the novel version of Jurassic Park and dump it into one exposition scene without feeling outside of the world of the movie. Like it all feels very real within the actual movie, but it also within like 2 minutes gives us all of the science that we need that would
hmm
otherwise take like random file scenes, you know, here and there, sort of like annoyingly explaining what's going on. Instead, we just get it all in one dump, which is usually like really hard to do, but because of the DNA character, it doesn't feel, again, like I said before, it doesn't feel like outside of the movie.
Oh yeah.
The the sort of the second thing that is really crucial in the scene, which I don't believe we've gotten to yet. So maybe I should bite my tongue.
No, I do it all the time. I'll talk about. There's a scene 8 scenes ahead that I want to
Yeah.
talk about. I'm gonna talk about it now, because I
So
assume the people that are doing that, I assume they've seen Jurassic Park. So like,
yeah. So we're gonna see in a few minutes where they're supposed to go on like the ride version of
mhm.
whatever demonstration they're doing, and the like guardrails for them not being able to get up are very easily pushed back up, which again, this has been pointed out by many, many, many people talking about this movie. But it just goes to show that like they did not take the time uh to like go over every last detail to make sure that this park works in a way that it needs to work. And this is one of
Mhm.
those things where if you're not going over every single detail, the results can be catastrophic. Like this isn't me. I work a desk job where if I, mess up an Excel file, like, something, my boss isn't happy. This is like,
Mhm.
if you mess up your job, people die.
Yeah,
It's like the airline industry. You can't cut corners.
literally.
I can cut corners in my job because no, it's not life or death. If you cut corners in a dinosaur theme park, people will be eaten. If you cut corners
Literally.
at an
Literally
organic
eaten.
line, people will be sucked out of planes in the sky. These are
Yeah.
not good things.
Yeah, it's like really interesting you brought that up because I don't think I've ever picked that up before, actually, of them easily pushing that forward, which is so obvious. Like,
Hmm.
oh, that makes so much sense. Like, they're cutting corners here. And like BD Wong's character is like you think they're gonna breed together? It's all females. Like, yeah, you guys are cutting corners. Like, you don't think any species will figure out a way to do shit.
Hmm. And
But
that's like it's all laid out in now I'm totally jumping scenes, but it's all laid out in that dinner table scene between
mhm,
Jeff Goldblum's Dr. Malcolm and the Hammond character, where
mhm,
Goldblum is like, your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could do this, they didn't bother to ask, should they be doing this?
mhm,
And again, with that, like, can we be doing this? You're not going over every last step to make sure that it's like operating in the way that it should be. It's just, oh, we can do this. And like our hubris is so high that like we're just worried about pushing it out there to the world before we're confident in
mhm.
knowing that we like can push this out to the world in a way that's safe and enjoyable for people.
Yeah, it's essentially just like a critique of just corporate greed, essentially. Like,
Yeah.
they'll push anything out without any like, well, have you thought about doing this? It's like, well, it's gonna make us money, so who cares?
Yeah. Well, how will this
Like,
affect people? Like,
yeah.
should we
Well,
be
yeah.
concerned about the dinosaurs
It's like,
potentially eating people? Like, well, no,
yeah,
because we can make $1 zillion off of this.
yeah. Which I guess is kind of brought up because it's like in like the next scene too, like when they're around the table eating, and the lawyer is like, we'll only charge like multi millions for people to come here. But then Hammond's like, no, I want everyone to come here. So there is some sort of like he's super rich, but he is like a guy that's like, we should make this available to every person on Earth, essentially. So I guess he is some sort of like a they make the lawyer guy very like kind of one dimensional, honestly.
Yeah.
But
He's only concerned about how
the
much money
corporate
it'll
money,
make.
yeah, the
Yeah.
money, and which I
But
guess
Hammond's
that's,
kind of worried
but
about the
Hammond is,
praise.
yeah, the praise, and Hammond is like, they do make Hammond to be like this guy who's like once has the vision, but it's not fully executed.
Hmm.
And I love how they shoot him like individually. It's like, because I love in the beginning, like he's the only one that's like skeptical, being like you guys are crazy, man. Like this would never work. Like, that's why they're all looking
Yeah.
at it. Like, even that's just simple blocking there, like how you
Hmm.
have them like, oh, Spielberg is the master at blocking to me. I mean, he would even say that it was Hitchcock is the master, but even right there, how they're all just lined up so perfectly in the frame, like
Yeah.
the master at blocking. And I feel like movies now just don't have that type of blocking. Like with the
No.
camera movements, it's like a lot of it's just very like two shot. You guys are just talking. Like
Yeah.
it's
Well, a lot of it's just like shot for coverage,
mhm,
and then you just put together in the editing room like whatever creates a somewhat coherent scene for the sake of dialogue
mhm,
without actually like wondering about what is going on with the characters and like where they are in their emotional journey or whatever it may be. But I mean, I had never noticed that before about the blocking of Dr. Malcolm with like shooting him by himself and then cutting to a shot of like of everyone else.
mhm.
It's
And they're
just
all like perfectly, like they're all looking at him perfectly. Like Lara Dern's all the way in the back, but it's like Sam Neill's in between like John Hammond and then the lawyer. Like their heads are all perfectly framed. Like they have their mark. Like, they shot that like in that shot. They're like,
yeah,
you need to stand here, here, here. I need to see you all in this frame.
right.
Because
And then
normally you
you're
probably
lighting
maybe
the
see
set
two of
for
them. Yeah.
yeah, you're lighting the set for that specific shot, but it's also like telling us all that we need to know about the
Hmm.
relationship between the characters,
Yeah. Because if you
which
like
again,
in that past scene, like um uh all of them were like looking at the eggs and everything, and then you had like he was back, like he was the one that was like already being like, why are you guys doing this? Like, what are you doing? Like, do you understand
yeah,
what you're doing? Like, he's the first one. 80, even in their clothing, look at the clothing. He's like, he stands out. Like, he's just wearing all
hmm,
black. Like, I mean, he looks
Yeah.
fucking cool. Like
Oh,
Jeff
he
Goldblum is
looks
fucking cool.
he looks so cool, and he's also a giant. Like Jeff Goldblum should be balling. He should
Oh
be
yeah.
hooping. He's like 6'6".
I know he went. I went to a piano bar and he was like, he just like randomly show up and just started playing the piano, and it was great. It was like this was like
Yeah,
5 years
dude, he
ago
has a full
in Echo
jazz
Park.
band. He has a
Yeah, he's
full
like
jazz
randomly
band.
showed up. He's like, I'm gonna play. He played for like an hour. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever had in my entire life.
That's awesome. And it was like unplanned. You were just hanging out at that
Yeah,
bar.
he was just like there. It was just like a random piano bar. We were hanging out in like I think it was in like Los Feliz, and he was just like he's like random like Jeff Goldblum just like walked in and he's like he started playing the piano. And he had his like literally just talking like he does in this movie, just that classic just Jeff Goldblum dialogue. Like,
Yeah. He's one of those actors who he doesn't even really act. He just sort of all of his roles are
it's
different
himself. It's
caricatures of him. Yeah,
literally.
so good. The I feel like the Goldblum or the Dr. Malcolm Hammond costuming is like another one of those really
Black and white,
simple,
yeah.
but yeah,
Hmm.
the just like you're showing them as complete opposites in their
Hmm.
ideology and everything. By again, it's a super simple choice and it's like really easy to pick up on, even
Hmm.
for like someone as dumb as me, but it goes a long way in telling us what we need to know about the
Hmm.
movie in like a really sophisticated manner without just
Hmm.
having lines of dialogue that say like I don't like what you're doing and I disagree with
Yeah.
you. Like
Yeah. You're the bad guy.
yeah.
Again, like so I think you shoot that like separately, like you push in on him. Like he has his own idea of like he's been so skeptical about everything. And like whenever he's speaking about it, it's always just it's directly him. Like he's the only
Hmm.
one in the frame about that.
Yeah.
And I love the push up there because like you had it on his hand, and so like when he pushed up, because when you're gonna shoot up on somebody, it's like they're basically talking down to you with like
Hmm.
power. So when he's like, "Do you understand?" Like when he pushed up, and as he pushed up, he says, "Do you understand the power? Essentially, what you're basically creating? You're playing God here." So essentially, it's like he's talking down essentially to the audience, being like, I'm being very direct right now. Like this is a
Yeah.
very direct statement, and like how you just basically push like camera movements like that are very subtle, especially when like you're gonna do it on essentially a dialogue beat. He's gonna speak and then you're gonna push up. He's gonna speak again and again. I keep always keep bringing it up. It's like I feel like I just don't see that anymore. I mean, Spielberg obviously makes movies. Scorsese still does. Like
Hmm.
Denny and like people still do it, but it's not very like it's not as common as you would say. Like people would watch this movie and probably be like, "Why is the lighting like this in this scene? This lighting's jarring." It's like that's the point. Like it's supposed to
Yeah.
be jarring. Like
You
they're
I mean
showing
you've got
this.
this like red light
Yeah.
behind the evil Goldblum character and then when it cuts back to
Hmm.
him and you've got the white light behind him,
Yeah.
he's this angelic
He's like the
godlike figure
savior,
who's
like
creating,
godlike.
yeah.
Yeah. Wearing
He's
all
literally
white.
playing God. He's,
Yeah.
he's creating, he's giving dinosaurs life again. That's
And I would have what he does like subtly too is like when the scene started, you saw the Jurassic Park plate, and then as the waiters are bringing all the stuff in, they're wearing Jurassic Park like aprons, and it's like you looking in the background, it's just all like corporate, 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 corporate. It's like merch is trying to being sold right now. They're wearing like Jurassic Park mugs are on the table. It's like this is like a
Mhm.
merch corporate meeting. Like we're selling merch right now. Like
Yeah. This is a boardroom
Jurassic
meeting.
behind it. Yeah, it's literally a boardroom
Yeah.
meeting, and it's like just things just changing in the background. It's like so much is going on in this entire scene. Honestly, this scene is probably the whole movie. Like they're
Yeah.
just
I think you can
breaking
boil down
down what's
everything.
happening. Yeah. Cause he's like, I want to see like the very last person is this. He's like, I want to hear what you need to like have to say on this. Cause he essentially becomes the main character, Alan.
Hmm.
Cause he's the most logical thinking of them. Like he loves dinosaurs, but at the same time, he's not like doesn't have an ego like all the other people at the table. Like
Yeah. And the
yeah,
scumbag.
Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park aprons.
I will say the branding around this movie is all so good. Like
I
people still
know.
have Jurassic Park merch.
Like you have like fake merch store in this. Like and
Yeah, and like
the
everything
park
looks
never even
amazing.
opened. The
Yeah, like
park
I would
never
buy
even
all that
opened.
stuff. I kind of want Jurassic Park plates. I want to have my dinner on that.
I know. I know there's someone like I've seen like Jurassic Park like vehicles like driving around. Someone like these ones right here. There's
Mhm.
someone in LA that has one that's like fully decked out like that and drives it around. I've seen it a couple times.
That's
And
amazing.
I'm like, damn, that's
Good for
sick.
that person.
You would drive that around and be like, yeah, I'm fucking cool. Like, look at this
Yes.
Jurassic Park vehicle. Like, it's just Spielberg. He just drives it.
It's
That's
just,
his
yeah.
car.
It's Goldblum. It's what's the kid's name? Lex and is it Billy?
Yeah. He was in the Pacific, actually.
And
The
he played the
miniseries.
bass player in the Queen
Bohemian
movie.
Rhapsody, yeah.
Yeah. That was the first time I had seen him since this.
Yeah, I think I was watching the Pacific when that came out like 2010. I was like watching, I was like, I've seen this guy somewhere.
Yeah.
Like and I was like, holy it's a kid in Jurassic Park. Like I looked it up.
Yeah.
I
This
think he still does
also,
stuff. He's also in the social network, actually. He's one of the roommates in Harvard.
oh, yes. Great call. Great call. I was just gonna say this scene is now introducing us into Steven Spielberg's favorite topic of
Family.
the yeah, the the broken family, the father who abandons his family sort of vibe, the son pining for
Hmm.
that relationship with the father figure. Because really, I mean, until like Saving Private Ryan, like essentially all of his movies had that element to it. So
Hmm.
have you read the Jurassic Park book?
I actually haven't. I don't. Is it a lot different from this movie?
No, so it's actually, I think Michael Crichton, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name
Because
correctly.
you are. I think
Um,
you are. Did he? I think he co-wrote the script. No.
he either co-wrote it or he was a producer, but he was like pretty involved in
Hmm.
the development of the movie. The movie is certainly better than the book. One of the things that they do change is also Sam Jackson.
Sam
Amazing
Jack.
that he's just
Sam
like
Jackson smoking a
that he's
cig the
just
whole
like a
time
random dude smoking a cig in this movie. Like absolutely incredible. Wild that he was just a random character actor for most of his
for a
career
while. Honestly,
until Pulp Fiction, and then
yeah.
that
Which
made him a
was next
superstar.
year. The next year
Yeah.
after this. Because he was in
Um
he's the do the right thing. He's like the radio guy and do the
yeah,
right
he's in
thing.
Do the Right Thing. He's in a bunch of like Spike Lee movies and just like bit parts.
Hmm.
Like that was his thing. He was like a career working actor until Pulp Fiction like sent him to the next
Hmm.
level. Um but yeah, the story beat from the book to movie is like pretty much the same. But one of the things that was changed was the Billy character, I think in the book is older than his sister, and they just made him younger so that Spielberg could do his like father-son thing. Because otherwise it would have been kind of not weird, but it wouldn't have read the same way with like a 15, 16-year-old character as opposed to I don't know, what is that? An 8, 9-year-old kid? I don't know how to
Yeah, maybe
judge
like
like a
10.
child's
Yeah.
age. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe 10. I guess good Lex could be like 13, maybe.
Yeah.
I always know her. She's in an episode of Boy Meets World where like domestic violence happens. That's all
Oh no.
I But yeah, it's always like that's the girl from Jurassic Park. I think she's not
Yeah.
acting anymore. I think she's like a lawyer or something.
Good for her.
Like this is like honestly, this is like a perfect thing of like a theme park. Like you can't see anything. Like there's nothing there. I don't see anything. Like
Oh, dude. Have you ever been to Universal Studios in Florida?
I have because I would always go to my family's a big Disney like people, and we'd always go to
Hmm.
Disney World when I was younger, and then we'd always like do Universal for a day. And I was never kind of a big Universal fan. It's kind of like, I'm good. But then when like Harry Potter opened there, and like we
What?
went
So
there, and like
you
they have
haven't
like
been on the
the
Jurassic
green
Park ride?
guts. I have, and like I've been to the one here now. It's like Jurassic World now in
Uh,
Universal Studios Hollywood. But I've
doesn't
I've
excite
gone
me
on the
as
Jurassic
much.
Park ride, and yeah, it's very like.
It's an all-time ride, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
I feel like they made the drop bigger in Universal Hollywood. I think it's the same though,
That drop
but
is insane.
yeah, drop is. You're like, oh
Oh,
god, this is
did you
gonna
ever go on
suck.
the Jaws ride?
Yeah, I did when I was like a little kid, and then the Back to the Future ride. I think there's now the Simpsons out here, but I think there's still Back to the Future down in Hollywood. No,
Hmm.
not Orlando. I think it's still Back to the Future. Yeah, it's the
Nice.
Jaws ride is. I've been on that, yeah,
I love the Jaws ride.
because I think they essentially like the studio backlot tour is like a big thing for the Hollywood here. Speaking of Jaws and Spielberg, I don't know, we're watching Jurassic Park, but they used to have the Orca, like when you would do the backlot tour at Universal Studios Hollywood, the Orca like actual ship that was on the set would be sitting there
Oh,
in the
nice.
water, and he said he used to go there all the time, and just because his like offices are on the Universal lot, and he would just go there and like chill on the boat, and just think about, he would like storyboard, just think about stuff. And he said just one day I went down there and the boat was gone. He's like, where did it go? He asked just a guy that was, he's like, do you know where that boat went? He's like, oh yeah, we just like threw that away and then the trash. He's like, what? They're like, yeah. He's like, do you know where that boat was from? Like, the jaw, like they just threw it away. They just threw that entire ship away.
And just didn't think to ask
Just didn't think to
Spielberg.
ask him. Yeah, he's like, Steven Spielberg Drive is on that lot, but they didn't think to ask the guy, hey,
Yeah,
we're gonna throw your Orca boat away. Like, but
great
yeah,
line right here.
hey, look at the blocking there. Like they're all like perfectly framed.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then you switch it as you push through. It's like the camera's like outside the car too.
Hmm. And you can't really tell from that first shot or from
Mm.
that first piece of the shot.
Yeah, I always tell people like if you want to look at blocking, like even this shot right here, they're like in that the shot from outside the car, they were
Hmm.
separated from the lawyer with the divider in the car, like right there.
Hmm.
These kids are so fascinated and he's scared. Essentially, they're basically hinting like what's coming. Like this guy is going to
Yeah,
leave these kids. Like he's separated from them. Like he doesn't care about these kids. Like
dude, what a
and then
wild
obviously,
concept.
and then
Just like,
like he just leaves them. Like he left us. Like yeah, he
yeah,
left you. Like
yeah, he was always
um,
an ass. You guys never had any real
no chance.
connection.
Yeah. I know. I always
Um,
tell people if you want to watch like blocking, like look at Spielberg. His blocking's insane when it comes to camera movements. And my only criticism of Christopher Nolan, soon to be Sir Christopher Nolan,
oh wow,
is
good for him.
he he's not. Yeah, I think it was announced today he's going to be knighted. Him and his wife. Um, so it'll be Sir Christopher Nolan, which is I feel like that was going to happen no matter what at this point.
Mhm. Yeah.
um, the only criticism I have of Nolan is he's not very good with background actors. Not very good with it. His actors he's basically hiring like to be the main characters, he's fine with. But if you
Hmm.
watch his background stuff, especially like the Dark Knight Rises, like you watch a lot of those fight scenes, you're just like, these are just not like whenever I watch any Spielberg movie, even like say like Bridge of Spies or something, like just watch the background, like these people, someone who's like 30 feet back, like this guy is like so zoned in on what he's doing, like it's
Yeah.
wild, like how good he is at like a lot of that comes from his crew essentially. Like he's kept the same crew for like 40 years. Like these guys are just good at their damn job.
Yeah.
Like,
Everyone's on the same page and is
mm-hmm,
able to like work towards the same thing.
mm-hmm.
We're getting a little bit of chaos theory right now.
A little foreshadowing of the water later too. The
Yeah.
doom. I would flirt with Laura Dern too.
She's great. One of the most random celebrity couples, Laura Dern and Baron Davis. Like, how did those two end up together? Well, I guess they're both famous, but not a pairing
Probably
I would have. I
just
would
met
have,
at a random party, probably in Hollywood.
yeah. Laura Dern is an absolute legend, though. I think one of my favorite things about her character in this movie is the fact that she is like very much so not romantically tied to a male lead. Like obviously right
Hmm.
there, Jeff Goldblum was flirting with her. And I think maybe some people, but not a lot of people, at least not, this isn't how I read it, but some people read her and Dr. Grant as having a romantic relationship, but I totally just see them as coworkers and colleagues. And I feel like that's kind of a radical thing to do in 1993 is to have this woman co-lead a movie essentially. Like Grant is obviously the protagonist, but there are four main characters, you know, Grant Sattler,
Hmm.
Hammond, and Malcolm. And to have her be there and she's totally um her own being, like she has her own agency and all of that, and again is not romantically tied to any of these guys. Like I absolutely adore that about her
Hmm.
character.
You need that strong female presence.
Yeah, we're just a
And
couple
those
of
shots,
feminists here.
and this shot of his like the Timmy's like feet there, like they use it later with like raptor like legs, like walking like that.
Mm,
He's basically just
film
hinting the whole he's hinting the
visual
whole time that
language.
the raptors are coming. The raptors
Yeah,
are
the Raptors are coming.
I mean, this I feel like this would be all CGI now, like this like fake dinosaur here.
Yeah, and like you lose that tangibility of
Hmm.
them actually physically interacting with this thing that's like occupying the same space as them.
Hmm.
And with that tangibility, you also get a lot of gravity
Hmm.
of like those tears that you see on Laura Dern's face. They wouldn't hit the same if she's touching just like a CGI whatever, as
Hmm.
opposed to actually physically interacting with this animatronic.
Yeah.
What is that, a triceratops? I'm not a big dinosaur guy.
I think it's a triceratops. I always thought it was always so gross when she would pop that thing on the tongue. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? It's disgusting. Yeah, like you have the kids see him as like a father figure.
Mhm.
Steven, we get it. You had a broken family, man.
Yeah. Whatever. It wasn't actually your dad's fault. After 50 years
Yeah.
of publicly dealing with it through your filmography, you finally come to terms with, you know, maybe your dad wasn't so bad after all with the
Yeah.
Fablemans.
Yeah, like the last scene with him. Yeah. It's like maybe he wasn't so bad. That
Yeah.
was he's even admitted that. He like resented his dad for a long time. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious in like everything from Close Encounters through this.
hmm. Oh yeah, look at that CGI model.
Hell yeah. That's good computer
Yeah.
engineering right there.
Again, look at their blocking. Like they're all like perfectly framed. Like,
Yeah. We haven't really talked about Muldoon, but he's an amazing character.
hmm. Again, he's like one dimensional, but it works.
Hmm. Same with what's Sam Jackson's character's name? Is he Arnold?
Honestly, I forget. I have to look it up.
But another great character.
Yeah, that's a big pile of shit.
Just
One of those
like
like famous gifs now. That's one big pile
yeah,
of shit.
It's such an unnecessary shot of him walking
No.
up to the pile of shit just to deliver
Yeah.
that line, but it's so funny.
Because you would say the same thing. You'd be like, that's a big pile of shit. Like,
Yeah, he like takes his
Jesus.
sunglasses off and everything. That's a movie star moment.
Mm. I love the camera movements. Are we getting a little Oppenheimer here coming up?
Do
He
we?
has a picture. He has a picture of Oppenheimer on his computer.
Nice. Spielberg was always a huge Nolan fan.
He knew. He's like, they're
He
gonna make a
knew.
movie about this guy.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in it. I can sense it. I can feel it.
There's a storm coming.
Uh-oh.
I wonder if this is all like stock footage.
Yeah.
I
But
can
it's
always tell in like movies, like especially like on Netflix, they'll
mhm.
have like a random shot, like they're in Ireland, and it's like clear this is like a Getty Images. Like you guys just bought this for like $100. Let's just throw in here.
It's so sad. This is such a random aside, but I hate in modern movies where there's an establishing shot of like a very obvious place, but then also the title card to tell you where the place is. Like,
New York,
no, yeah, we get it. We see the Empire State Building and we understand New
Paris,
York. Yeah,
Paris. Paris is
yeah,
my favorite. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was Paris. Thanks for letting me
yeah.
know. Like,
Oh, you only showed us the most iconic, structure in the entire
yeah,
world,
world.
where and
Yeah.
we all know what city it's in, and you're like, just in case there's any doubt out there, this is Paris.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if like a 6-year-old's watching it, maybe they don't know it's Paris.
No, they'll know. Even 6-year-olds know.
Yeah, he has like Oppenheimer on his like computer, like screen. It's like a
Oh,
photo. It's like a photo of him.
yeah, I remember now. It's not that bikini lady. That's not
No, that's
Bikini
not Robert.
Oppenheimer.
That's not Robert. He didn't post for Maxim back then. This would be me. Ah, let's get some whiskey, guys. We've had enough of
Hell
the
yeah.
dinosaur tour.
Yeah. I'm
Give
having
me the
some
hell
whiskey
off
right
this
now.
island. Like, give me the hell off this island.
Yeah, this is terrifying.
Like, there's dinosaurs there? Nah, I'm good, man. Actually, I
Yeah.
am curious because I think they're going for the new. I guess they kind of did it with Dominion, but then Dominion kind of became like more about like climate change, I guess, in a way.
Hmm.
Um, I guess with the new one, they're gonna make it seem like dinosaurs are already like relevant. Say like you're like taking out your trash and like a little dinosaur like runs around you. Like that's more of
Yeah,
an
that's
interesting
weird.
concept of like what if they're already living around? Like they're already around. Like there's a T-Rex out in the woods.
Yeah,
Like
that's
like what would you
terrifying.
do? Like that's an interesting thing to think about. Like what would you do? Like if the dinosaurs are never extinct.
I would probably stay in New York City where I am because there would be a low chance of
Less
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs.
Yeah. I was thinking when you were talking about going to the island, although I know Sam Jackson's there, but this is very much so some white people shit. Like going to an island to see
Oh
dinosaurs
yeah.
is, you know, you can't get black people to go
Rich white
like
people.
you can't get black people to go hiking. There's no way that you're gonna get black people to go to a remote island to see dinosaurs, you know?
Yeah, not a chance.
No, there's like a Key and Peele skit somewhere in there of like recruiting all the top, scientists around the world. And then there's
Hmm.
like one black scientist who's like, dinosaurs? Nah, I'm
Nah,
good.
I'm good. That's like that's my favorite thing in Nope. Just nope.
Yeah. Nope. Nope.
Just
Nope. 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 Yeah.
any person would be like, nope.
Yeah.
going down.
Yeah, this is really where the movie sort of kicks things into gear. Like the first, what was we're about like an hour in, the first hour has really just been set up,
Mhm.
and then the second half is where all
Just
of the real,
chaos.
yeah, action, and it's not even really action, it is chaos.
This song is called Dennis Steals the Embryo. Please tell me why I know that. I don't know.
That's helpful knowledge. That might come up in like bar trivia or something at some point. You never know.
There he is. He's right next to Sam Jackson. There's Oppenheimer back there. The photo.
Yeah.
I think you could see him here. They do a close up on it. You can see it.
I mean, I guess it
There.
kind of does make sense the connection between Oppenheimer
Hmm.
and everything going on at the park. You know, like
Hmm.
is this a sort of power gained through science that we should be able to wield, or like should we have just
Hmm.
let things be? The yeah, the connection is like very obvious. I
Hmm.
wouldn't have known that before, but now that I've seen Oppenheimer twice,
Yeah.
that reference makes sense to
You're like,
me.
oh. You're like,
Yeah.
oh. It makes total sense. I know. Even those like just camera movements in that like security area are just like insane.
Yeah.
Again, it's all in the blocking. Like you have it pull back, and then would have Sam Jackson. There's a close up on him right there.
There we go.
um, you would have like
Cillian
Sam
Murphy
Jackson.
himself.
Yeah, you'd have like Sam Jackson as the camera pushes back. You pull in and look to the side. Like it's all
These
in the
close-ups,
blocking.
so good.
Like right here, camera moves. Then you have to rack focus, pull and rack again, like to him. Like it's all in the blocking. And you slightly move it with the with the when he moves the phone,
Yeah.
and you push
Well, I
it
think a lot of
perfectly,
this
then perfectly in that blocking.
it goes to something that you mentioned earlier with storyboarding, which seems to be a
Hmm.
lost art for the most
Hmm.
part. And I think of something like Parasite, where you watch that movie and you can see that the pretty much the entirety of that movie was so clearly boarded out and planned out
Hmm.
before it was shot. So then when you go into actually shooting and acting out the movie, again, like how you need to light it to make sure that it's good. You know where your actors need to stand in order to
Hmm.
deliver their lines or get a certain shot. And when you're just like shooting for coverage, that's going to affect your lighting because then you're like, oh, we'll just clean it all up on the back end digitally, which is never going to look as good or usually won't look as good as just making sure that your lighting is being captured by the cameras correctly when you're
Hmm.
shooting. Um, your your actors are able to stand in positions that again give us insight into what their characters are actually thinking beyond just like the words that they're saying. And all of that just it's a very hard process and time consuming, but it does go a long way into like making your movie that much better.
Hmm.
You watch Jurassic Park and you can tell that so much of this was storyboarded out, that they're like drawings and sketches of how shots were going to like move from one to the next. And
Hmm.
the result of that is one of the best movies ever made.
Hmm.
Not every movie that's storyboarded will be one of the best movies ever made, but you're more likely to get there than if you don't.
Do you know how they did the water right there?
I feel
Like to
like
get
I've
it to
heard,
like
but tell me.
vibrate. Um, so like they couldn't figure out how to get like I think they tried to like just like smack it like the below and it wouldn't vibrate. So what they did is they put like guitar strings in like the hood of the car and they would pluck
Mm,
them. And when they did that, it would just create a big vibration in the car. And that's how they did that. So like it's just basically someone plucking a guitar string like in the hood of the car that would create the vibration within the car.
amazing.
One of Spielberg's favorite shots is during this entire sequence, and I'll point it out when it comes. I mean, this is like this turns into a horror movie right here. Like,
Oh
this
yeah.
is this is terrifying.
I mean, this is one of the greatest single scenes ever put to film.
Like, that's a practical effect. Like, that's a dinosaurs moving. Like, someone's controlling that.
Yeah. They're because
And
I mean in this one they're going between like a giant animatronic head,
then the
CG,
CGI, yeah.
and is there also a person in a suit or like a little puppet, like a miniature puppet that they use?
I think they use it. It's actually in one of his favorite shots. I'll show you. It's the like when the like they use it for like foot close-ups. I think they were just like
Hmm.
feet that they had. But I'll show you the shot when they. It's like one of his. He's like, I think he's like, oh, I love that shot. Like,
Yeah.
he always says it like,
I mean, this scene is full of so many like singular
I mean,
iconic shots.
this is probably like the most iconic scene in this movie is when the T Rex, like even this shot right here, like the T Rex breaks out. This is a
It's
point that you'd be
nuts.
like, I need to get the hell out of here. Like,
Yeah. Also with the CG being able to sort of hide the imperfections in it by having the scene take place at night in the rain is pretty
mm-hmm,
genius. And if you've ever seen the Roland Emmerich Godzilla movie, you'll
mm-hmm,
notice that the entire thing takes place in a very rainy New York. And part of that was because the CGI was a lot better to hide
mm-hmm.
with rain. And they shot a
Have I
lot of
seen
it
it?
at night.
Have I seen it? I own it on DVD. So,
Amazing.
I got it for a
Incredible.
dollar.
Incredible movie. Incredibly bad, but also I stand Roland Emmerich.
I love some Roland Emmerich actually.
Day After
I,
Tomorrow, banger.
oh yeah, you mean the Patriot banger? most
Independence
unac
Day.
most inaccurate like depiction of Revolutionary War, but I still love it.
I don't know if I've ever seen The Patriot.
It's Mel Gibson and Heath Ledger, and a great performance from Jason Isaacs as like the villain. Uh, what's his face is Lucius Malfoy. He's
Oh,
incredible on that. He's as the villain. He's so good.
gotta check it out.
But the movie's kind of historically inaccurate, but I still love
It's
it.
okay. So was Jurassic Park.
Yeah. I think what I also love about this scene is like you would think the two adults in the other car would try to save the children, but they're kind of just so fascinated about what is happening right now. Like,
Hmm. Yeah,
like
they're just watching it unfold. This is
they're
like a
just
science
watching it
experiment.
happen, being like, this would be absolutely terrifying. Like to see like them, they're just like in awe, like of what is happening right now.
Yeah. Well, isn't part of Grant's thing that, you're not supposed to move? Its vision is based
Yeah.
on movement.
Which I don't even know if that's like actually true. Like, but I don't
Such
know.
a like overly quoted line in like
Hmm.
elementary and middle school, especially about like a teacher that we didn't like. We would all stand still and be like, her vision is based on movement.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's like that's a practical dinosaur there. Like that's crazy.
It's nuts.
I mean, it's very effective to be like have the T Rex attack the kids, not
Hmm.
the adults.
Yeah.
Like,
Oof. That shot is just nuts.
or even like here, right here. Like, yeah, there's like
Yeah.
your movement thing. Like, there's a guy I knew in college, but I'd always ever see him at parties, and his name was Ian. So I'd always go, Ian, freeze. And he'd always freeze.
That's amazing.
Oh, here we
No
go.
more embarrassing place to die.
So yeah, I think you got to have him die first, especially because he abandoned the kids. That's his karma.
Yeah, he left the kids and he's hiding on the
Yeah,
toilet, you know? Like
yeah.
it's a good thing that he went out like a bitch.
Hmm. Went out like a bitch.
For lack of a better
It's right
phrase.
here. It's this shot right there. That's one of his favorite shots of when the T-Rex just
Yeah,
stomps down. But yeah, I think with just that like foot, I think that they just had like a foot that would just like press down.
so good.
I mean, even that shot right there, like those are practical feet right there.
Yeah.
That's practical there. Even this, like this would all be CGI now.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it's important to mix because
Hmm.
it does sort of allow for all the different elements of like what makes the T-Rex so scary to be scary. You
Hmm.
get this sort of CGI for like the scale of all of it, but then it's not actually physically scary unless there's a physical thing that's there with them.
Damn, Timmy would be dead. I can imagine like after the theater, like in the theater, like after that scene, you being like, Jesus. I'm sure there people
Like,
probably clapped at that scene. Like that was insane.
yeah, that's so
Okay, look at
nuts.
the blocking there. So you had those two by the computer, and then like larger to the right, and then in the back, he like walked around to come right back, and then they had this shot of them all perfectly framed. I mean, it's all in the markings on the
Incredible.
floor. It's just very easy, but it's just like
Hmm.
just detail. I loved like detailed blocking. I feel like blocking, like I feel
Dude,
blocking is
it's the
just like a
best.
lost like art form within movies is like blocking.
Yeah. Well, that's why movies are so cool, right? Is
Hmm.
because if you allow me to detour a bit, but it's it's this weird marriage of all of these different art forms to create one sort of super art form. So you've got things like cinematography, like your basic photography. You've got acting, which previously was sort of reserved for the stage. Within the photography, you've got lighting, which is its own art form. Like you said, you've got blocking, which is its own art form. Then you're talking about scripts. Writing is its own art form. Then you're talking about
Hmm.
production design. That's eight different art forms within itself. You know, you have like matte painters in some regards. In a movie like this, you have CGI artwork that is its own art form. And all of these things are coming together to create one cohesive project. And it's so bizarre that like all of these different art forms, like in their own right, could be so great, but the fact that they're all working together to create something larger, you know, than the some of its parts is
Hmm.
so magical to me. And I feel like anyone who loves film can just sort of like appreciate it on that basic of a level.
Hmm. Yeah, I always feel like blocking and then another thing like unrealistic lighting has been like
Hmm.
lost in movies. Like this is unrealistic lighting. Like you wouldn't if say you were outside with him right now, he would not be this clear. Like your eyes would
Yeah.
eventually adjust to it. And I think that's what a lot of people have problems with when they say the TV or like the image is dark. It's because they're people filming it are trying to make like naturalistic lighting now.
Hmm.
But I also think people need to also calibrate their TVs, but that's a whole other thing because they were using just factory settings. But that's a whole other conversation. But I do agree to some aspect where some things are actually kind of dark, and I can see like, yeah, this actually does look kind of dark. I can see, and things again all kind of look the same. Like say you look
Yeah.
at like stuff that Marvel does or like Star Wars, like TV series, like they all look the same visually. And I get it from like a production standpoint to be like, but you kind of want to have a vision of what Star Wars needs to look like. But at the same time, it's like, why don't you just like, if you establish like that's what noirs did, like you established like film noir in the 40s, like just crazy lighting that didn't make any sense. But if you established it early on, the audience buys it. They don't care. Like you just have it in like
Yeah.
there's a light coming from behind the car. Like you can see the light coming from behind the
Yeah.
car. Does someone just have a spotlight back there? There's no spotlight back there in general. Like
He's in the
but
middle of the jungle.
he's in the middle of the jungle, but it works because he's already established that backlight in the beginning of the movie. So it's like in your mind, okay, it works. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Not everything needs to have a sort of like naturalistic feel. You can
mhm.
use lighting and things to convey theme, emotion, all of that stuff that don't necessarily like I don't need everything to look like my real life.
Yeah, yeah, we live
I
our real life.
Yeah, I want you to convey some sort of emotion with what it is that you're presenting me on screen.
hmm
Otherwise, like, what's the point of going to movies?
Yeah, it's like I always tell people, like, the movies aren't real. This isn't real. Like,
Transport me someplace else.
yeah, it's like
This movie is transporting us to a world where dinosaurs were brought back to
dinosaurs are
life.
real. Yeah, like the dinosaurs aren't real, but you can make them real
Well, they
depending
were
on how you're
real.
shooting it. Yeah. Section Island. Next is he founded Spielberg himself. He's like, look, I
Yeah.
found an island. Actually, I feel like James Cameron would be a guy to find this. Like, guys, hear
Hmm.
me out.
100%. Elon Musk will watch this movie and be like, I could do that.
Yeah. Or even that, like, he just randomly went to a close up right there, being like, but that's he's like, he left us, and it cut to Dr. Grant, super close up, not super close up, but close up, and he said, like, but that's not what I'm going to do. Like being like, boom, very close up, like this is a very personal thing. Like, I'm not going to leave you. I'm essentially like a father figure. You just have a random close up like that, being like, this is why we're having this close up. Direct,
Hmm.
very quick conversation, being like, I'm not going to do that. And very subtle filmmaking, but
It goes a
this
long
is how
way.
this is how I watch movies in the theaters, and I feel like people would probably be like, "How do you watch movies and do that?" Like, because there's some people that
Yeah.
like I know that'll just be like they'll watch the movie first, just get the story, and then they'll rewatch it to figure all of this out. But in the movie, I'd be like, "Oh, I know why he did that close up there." Like
Yeah.
it's like
I feel like I oftentimes lose a lot of story stuff because I'm so
fixated on like
curious
the
about,
production. Yeah.
yeah, on like what a particular shot is trying to tell me or like what an edit is, looking to convey. I feel like editing's
Mm.
another, not a lost art form, but I think our understanding of it as a whole is a little bit lost,
Mhm.
which upsets me. And I think that there are a lot of people out there who are much smarter than I am who know how to talk about editing in ways that actually do justice to the art form. But a lot of
Mhm.
times people are just like, oh, yeah, this movie needs editing because it's 3 hours long and
Yeah.
movies shouldn't be that long. So therefore, the editing is bad.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of more of the, oh man, what's the Russian guy's name? Eisenstein, right?
Sergei Eisenstein.
Yeah, Sergei Eisenstein, who he like wrote a lot about editing and was like an early film theorist. He was like, well, editing is really just the relationship between two shots. And yes, editing could mean taking a 3.5 hour movie and making it 2 hours and 45. But it also means what are you telling me with how from one given shot to the next is telling me a story. A lot of times
Mhm.
it's just to make sure that continuity is clear and coherent for audience members. And like we shouldn't necessarily realize it. But a lot of times it's showing differences between two characters. Like you were saying with Malcolm, with the blocking of Malcolm to everyone else, like those edits were very clear in telling us, okay, here's Malcolm's perspective, and now we're going to shift over to the other character's perspective.
Mhm.
Again, they're like so many people out there who can explain this in much smarter ways than than what I'm doing right now. But I do think that that is one of the most upsetting things in terms of just like general film discourse in like the general public that
Hmm.
I see a lot of. That's
Oh
like
yeah.
the main crusade that I've decided to take up when it comes to movies
Oh
these
yeah. I
days.
mean, I hate like when people say movies are too long. It's like movies have always been long. Like Ben-Hur is like 4 hours long. It was made in like 1950. Like Gone with the Wind is like 4 hours long. It was in 1939. Like movies have always been long.
Yeah. And
Just
that
like
was
I
always
just think
part of the appeal.
your attention span is just not as long anymore, and that is attributed to the phone in your hand. Um, and I
Yeah.
think criticism of like TikTok and stuff, it's like TikTok's a good like avenue for people to like just watch things, but like your attention span is a second. So like I mean I'm guilty of it. I'll watch a movie at home and I'll pick my phone up, and I'm guilty of like, why did I pick my phone up? Put it down. Stop picking your phone
Yeah.
up. Like put it down. Like
Which is why it's so
um,
great to for people to, be able to go to the theaters.
mhm,
It's I understand that it's hard, especially, uh living in modern society with like the work demands that we have and
mhm.
kids and families and all that stuff that it might be kind of hard to find 4 hours to go see Killers of the Flower Moon, but it is a
Yeah.
really rewarding experience when you're able to give yourself over to a piece of art like that and take that time to like sit and engage with it intentionally in a way that can like only benefit you at the end of the
Mhm.
day. I last summer I went to go see a a re-release of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and
Oh, yeah.
before the screening started, it was awesome, by the way. But before the screening started, the guy who was like presenting the movie at this theater, he was like, "Everyone, turn your phones off. We're gonna be away from the world for call back to the cup shot. Amazing.
Mhm.
Um, he's like, you're gonna be away from the world for 2.5 hours, and you know what? Like the world is gonna keep spinning, and we're gonna get out of this movie, and no one will have noticed that you were gone for 2.5 hours. Which,
Mhm.
you know, not to say like your life doesn't mean shit, but you can take a few hours out of your week to go see a movie in the theater, and
Mhm.
your week will probably be a little bit better because of it.
I know I saw when the before the arc light. This was pre-COVID, maybe like a year before. I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey in 35 millimeter at the arc light, and it was amazing, incredible. um,
So good. Yeah.
it's
And
funny that
like,
you brought up Eisenstein. I don't know, like did not think Eisenstein would be brought up on this podcast, but whenever I think of Eisenstein, I always think of how De Palma's like you obviously seen the Untouchables.
mhm.
When the baby carriage is like bouncing down the stairs,
Yeah.
he stole that. De Palma stole that from Eisenstein's Battleship Potemkin. It's literally the same shot. There's like
Yeah.
battles going around, and then you see the baby carriage going down. And like I remember watching that in film school in Battleship Potemkin. I was like, "Hey, that's the Untouchables." But then
That's hilarious.
I was like, "Wait, he stole from this was the OG Untouchables."
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, but again, it's
Eh,
like it's not like to me, it's not also like I said stealing, but it's not stealing. It's like you're just using the same thing. It's kind of like a nod to that being like, here's
Yeah.
Eisenstein's Battleship Potemkin. I'm gonna use that same like baby carriage going down the stairs. Like it's like you're basically like paying like tribute to them.
Yeah. I mean, that's Tarantino's whole career, right?
Oh yeah. Again, look at
Wild
this light.
in
Look at this
Jurassic
lighting
Park.
here. There's no spotlight behind them. Like
Yeah.
it's unnatural lighting, but it works. Like, look at there's a light there. There's literally a
Yeah.
light right there. Like
But like you said, it's established early on in the film. So
it's that was the first scene with the raptor. And you see like the backlights. It's established right
yeah,
there. So your eyes already trained to it. Because naturally, someone
exactly.
would look. What if someone saw this scene out of context on like film Twitter? They'd be like, "Why is the lighting like this?" Why is there a light behind
Hmm.
them?
Yeah, it makes sense when you establish it right away, or when you establish something else and then like deviate from that to go with, something like insane backlighting that doesn't make any
Mm-hmm.
sense because where you are in the story, dictates that you need to make some sort of like crazy change. So like you
Mm-hmm.
do one of the two things. You either establish it right away. So, once we're 15, 20 minutes into the movie, we've totally forgotten about it and we just accept it as is. Like that is the reality of this movie. That's how it looks in this world. There are all these kooky back shots, but like, or backlighting rather. Back shots is I've had too much whiskey. Um um but yeah, it's established from the jump, so like it doesn't feel strange to you, which is sort
Mm-hmm.
of just how films kind of work. Like they establish a set of rules and then work within that. And most of us, unlike you, Pat, like we're not able to pick up on things like that. So we just like
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously accept it.
Yeah. Well, it's like if you watch like film noir, like very first scenes, like someone will be like killed or something, and like just the lighting is just so dramatic. Like just one light, the giant shadow. It's like, okay, that's what this movie is. You establish it in the first scene, audience will buy it the whole time.
Hmm. Let's sort of to like pull back from that a little bit and just go more general, like over the last 100 and whatever years of
Here's,
filmmaking, we've
here's the merch shop. Sorry, here's the merch
yeah,
shop.
no, it looks amazing. I want to buy one of those stuffed animals
I know.
and
Or the
and the long
lunchbox.
sleeve tee.
I want to buy the lunchbox.
Yeah, or that what is that, like a little thermos, like a little soup
Yeah,
thermos?
it's the
Those are rad.
original Stanley Cup. It's
Yeah,
right there.
those would resell on eBay or
Oh,
whatever
oh
second
yeah.
market
Give
for
me a Target
thousands.
Stanley Cup Jurassic Park mug. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you though.
I forgot what I was going on about. It was probably something extremely douchey.
I think it's like general about establishing things.
Oh, just
Like,
establishing like the language of cinema
mhm,
um over the course of like movie history is something that we've done. So then when Spielberg does things like Hammond and Malcolm are wearing black versus white, or when characters are blocked a certain way, because we sort of all subconsciously have this like shared understanding of film language, we know what it means when we see something shot a certain way, or when we see the camera move in a particular way, we subconsciously just know like what that means. So I think someone like Spielberg, he's big on show, don't tell, because he
mhm.
knows he's like giving his audience the respect to know that they understand what it means when he does certain things with his camera, or when he does certain things um with a note in the score, or whatever it may be. Like he's giving us the credit to understand what it is that he's doing, and then it doesn't need to be spelled out by
Mhm.
a character, reading a corny piece of dialogue in the script.
Yeah.
um, which is, it's talked about all the time, but it like always rings true. And I think a
Mhm.
movie like this is a great example of like why show don't tell is so great.
Mhm. I always find this scene interesting too because it's like so much has happened now, and like he's just like sitting eating ice cream. Like, but
There's
again,
always
in
always
this,
room
in
for
like it,
cream.
going back to the editing, like in this editing, like obviously it's also in like storyboarding and everything, but they have separate points of view for this entire dialogue scene. So you're going to shoot them individually because they have their separate point of view. You don't want to shoot them in the same frame until they have essentially somewhat of a similar point of view, but they don't. So it's just like you're just going to keep cutting back and forth. And that's all in the storyboarding and all in the editing.
Yeah. He's also doing a really interesting thing with the editing where it's like the shot reverse shot is not like a reflection of whatever the
Hmm.
last person's shot was. So like she's in more of a close up. Well, I guess now he's in kind of a close up, so my point might be moot. Well, he was in more of she's in like a medium close, we'll say, and he was in like a close, but before that he was in like just a standard medium shot. And then,
Hmm. But
before
even
that
right
there was like a
there,
low angle shot. Yeah.
to how it gets back to them in the same frame, what she did is she went forward to grab some of the ice cream and then eat it. And then it brings them back into their natural reality of them being like, okay, we're still in this together.
Dude,
But like in that moment, like all he had to do, she just like you just see her, she reaches for the ice cream and eats it. And then you push back to that next shot. It's both of them in the frame, but it's just a wide.
that's that's some serious film analysis right there.
This is what I do. Sometimes I'm like, am I over analyzing this shit? I probably am. like
Yeah. It's a symptom of being a film school kid, for
it's like,
sure.
yeah, it's like, am I over analyzing this shit? I probably am, but I don't know. Someone's gonna be like, this guy's annoying. This is literally
Yeah.
how I watch movies. I'm like, God, like
It's
like
hard
I'm
to
like,
break
yeah,
out
like
of.
it's I just break down the whole movie. It's like the entire time because I think I'm just more fascinated by the filmmaking aspect of it. Because obviously,
Hmm.
like the main thing you need to make a movie is a story. Like you need a story to make the movie, but like
But there's so much else
how
going
it's
on.
how it's told. I think that's what honestly some people that's what I became fascinated with growing up, or just people in general, just like how movies are made. Because I'm sure some people think this is just like a oh, you guys just press record and write and everything, and people start acting. Like, no, there's like 80 people standing around here, and just like there's a guy that's outside smoking a cigarette, waiting for you to get for the next camera setup, so he's just a blue collar worker. He's just gonna move this stuff. Like he's
Yeah.
like, I don't care who's in this film. I don't give two shits who's in this movie. Just you're paying me, right? All right, I'll be like a lot of the people on sets are very blue collar, very union. Like they don't. Leonardo DiCaprio walks on that set. I don't care. Like, I'm doing my job, man. Like,
Just setting up these lights.
yeah, I guess it's kind of like a thing that does kind of suck when watching movies when how my brain operates watching them. But I guess some people would say that's a fascinating way to watch movies. Um, but I don't
Yeah,
know. That's
it's
probably just me.
n n no man, I totally I sympathize with that. I feel that. I don't know why specifically, but I remember when the John Favreau Lion King came out, my
Hmm.
girlfriend and I took my niece to go see it, and the whole time I'm watching the movie and I'm like thinking about all these things like how is this all being put together? Like what are these shots trying to convey to me? How is this camera moving from scene to scene? What are the inner motivations of all of these lions right now, all of these talking lions? And then the movie ends and I have all this stuff going through my brain. I'm like, oh, it's a shit movie because, it didn't live up to like these weird cinephile expectations that I had for it. And
Hmm.
like
Oh, there it is. There it
oh,
is. There's that
oh,
shit.
sex.
There it
That's
is.
yeah,
That's sex on screen.
that is. Oh my God. I don't know if a
I'm
dude
sorry,
has ever
continue.
looked hotter.
I know. I think they made the Funko Pop of that. Him like
Yeah.
sorry, I
Another
interrupted you again.
another
I'm
iconic
done.
shot. No, no, that was a worthwhile interruption. So the Lion King ends and my niece is like, I loved it. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
am I an asshole for questioning the motivations of a talking lion in like a remake of a cartoon movie that I'm bringing my niece to? Like, should I chill a little bit, maybe?
no, I think that's like the beauty of it though, because it's like, say, like, I think a perfect example of it is and sorry for the people that love this movie. I like this movie too, is Hocus Pocus. The perfect example of this. So growing up watching that, you're like, this movie's great. It's a great Halloween movie. I love this movie. People that grew up with us, essentially in that generation that didn't watch it, now watch it now for the first time, would
Hmm.
say this movie is terrible. Like like looking from a production standpoint, acting standpoint, script standpoint, they'd be like, this movie is not good. but we have this again. We grew up with the original Lion King. You have, which
Hmm.
is like, I mean, people like it's hard to like basically compare Hocus Pocus to Lion King, but like you have this nostalgia of like you grew up watching this movie, so in
What an
your
insane
mind,
shot.
it's
Sorry.
great. Oh yeah, like oh like the again the backlight. He's the king of
Yeah.
the backlight, man. Every
These
time you watch a Spielberg
insane
movie now,
blue.
yeah,
Yeah.
now you're never gonna unsee it. Whenever you watch a Spielberg movie, it's all backlit,
Yeah.
like the entire movie. Uh, but it's actually hilarious. Like they brought that up, like a Hocus Pocus, like someone watching that now, and then basically they probably would think that it's not a very good movie. Like again, it's probably like you watching the new Lion King and your niece is like 8. I mean, she doesn't understand that aspect of like filmmaking. And I'm sure people at the
Hmm.
time watching Hocus Pocus were like, this movie sucks. Like this movie's not good. But we were
I think I
like
could argue
watch
for Hocus Pocus being
like like
a
I don't
a good enough movie.
yeah,
I
I just
think.
chose Hocus Pocus because I feel like it's polarizing because I've seen some people that have watched it on like Letterbox being like had never seen it before and they watched it. They're like, really?
Mhm.
Being like that? Like, really? Like that's the movie,
Yeah.
which
I
is
feel like
funny, but
it's.
like
I guess it depends.
this is
Like I think
Hawaii
it's
right here. I've been
effective
here.
in it's
This is where
effective
they
in
film
like
Lost.
setting out to do.
This is where they film Lost.
This
I've been
is.
right. This like Valley is very like famous just filmmaking. I was here a couple years ago. Yeah, this is like if you watch Lost, whenever they're going
Yeah,
across island in quotations, they're going across island. It's just this shot, so you can get that top of the mountains of
I love that. Is this is like the greater Los Angeles area?
yeah. This is New York actually.
This is downtown Manhattan.
Downtown Manhattan. This is Central Park.
Yeah, exactly. It's that's actually that's Coney Island.
Speaking of watching movies when I was like younger and loved them, I saw like the Rolling Stone, I guess they put an article out about like famous directors' worst movies, and I was
Hmm.
like, I want to see what the number one overall is. You know, is Francis Ford Coppola directing Jack? And I'm like, I think maybe had 4 to 5 on Letterbox.
Dude, Jack kind of kicks ass.
I was like, I used to love that movie as a kid, and then like obviously like, again, if you watch that movie now, you'd be like, this movie, like what? He's like supposed to be like a 10th like in 10-year old and he's like Robin Williams 45 like
Yeah, that's hilarious. If you,
crazy. I used to like I still love it because like watch it as a kid, but like the concept you're just like, yeah, I can see why this would be number one. Like,
yeah, I guess. I don't
but then I
know.
saw some movies on the list. I'm like, whatever. But I just want to see what number one was. And I was like, of
Yeah.
course it's fucking Jack. Of course it's Jack.
Rolling Stone's got some weird movie lists. That's
Yeah.
leave it at that.
Even their music list is very like, like
Yeah.
it's all subjective. That's what like again, like your niece loved the Lion King remake, and
Well,
that's
she's
perfectly
wrong.
fine.
She's wrong for
She's
that.
wrong, and she needs to know why she's wrong. But
Yeah.
again, I always got to the points like even with like movies recently like Madam Web and stuff, it's like, guys, I get it. Like I saw the movie too. It's not good. Like we're still talking about Madam Web. Like I watched the movie and I was like, whatever, it wasn't good. Moved on with my day. Like, but so
Yeah.
I think it's gotten to this it's like to keep like harping on to like, oh, I know this movie's bad. I'm gonna make a TikTok that I'm gonna go watch the movie, and then I'm gonna come to my car and tell me why the movie's bad. It's like I've seen like we get it, it's bad. Like the fascination of like talking about how bad movies are is like weird to me. I just like I don't know. That's just like me. I always be like I'm move on with my day. Didn't like it. Whatever. Don't care.
Yeah. I mean, talking about bad movies probably begets more bad movies.
Hmm.
As opposed to bring it back to Jurassic Park, something like this where it is simultaneously very much so just pop entertainment, but
Hmm.
also extremely technically and artistically sound, which
Hmm.
I mean, this is also a movie where you can watch it as an 8-year-old and you might not understand like why it is that the movie is effective to you, but like you're going to walk away from it really enjoying it. But then
Mm-hmm.
you could be a couple of nerds like us who are looking at how a certain scene is blocked or how uh one shot is editing to the next shot and enjoy it on on that level as well. Um
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's sort of why people enjoy talking about Madam Web or whatever it is so much because it's been so long since maybe it hasn't. We got Dune like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Dune is mass pop entertainment that is also extremely layered and nuanced in the way that it's put together artistically and technically. So yeah, I'm just gonna go back on that point. Like we are getting it, and we should really just celebrate it when it's around
Mm-hmm.
and continue to celebrate past versions of it like Jurassic Park because it can be done. Not
Mm-hmm.
everyone's gonna be Steven Spielberg, but people can be capable of doing this. Like there are more Tony Scotts out there who can make really cool movies that again aren't going to um, maybe hit with like the Oscar crowd or hit with
Mm-hmm.
the entire masses, but like they will be pop entertainment that's really, really, really well made and cool
Mm-hmm.
to watch. Um, Random shout out to Tony Scott, but absolute legend.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Yeah, rest in power to a real one.
But yeah, like to your point though, it's like, I mean, Spielberg, like people would say he's the king of blockbuster movies, but like they're popcorn entertainment, yeah, but there's actually like filmmaking happening in that. It's like different from watching like a Transformers movie or something. Like those movies
Whoa,
are made for like popcorn, but like
don't talk shit about my king, Michael Bay.
I'm talking about like in general Transformers, like the idea of like that. It's like that movie's made for like
Yeah, I
it's
do
like
love the first
or it's like
Transformers movie though.
or it's like you see that like coming out this summer, like Twisters. Like when I watched that trailer, I'm not looking to be analyzing that movie to be like essentially like this Oscar worthy thing. And I think that's what separates like Spielberg blockbusters from like blockbusters in general. Like
Hmm.
if you look at Jaws, like there's a lot technically that's happening in that movie. Even in this is a blockbuster, but there's a lot of filmmaking happening in it. But I'm like, if
Yeah,
I'm mentally going to go watch Twisters, I'm not looking for like, and I think that is a thing like, which is like
but it
fine.
is
People
Lee
go into
Isaac
support.
Chung, so there might
Yeah,
be there might
I
be some
know
good filmmaking going on in
it's
there.
gonna be Minari too with Twisters, but
Yeah,
like, um, but
Grandma's
like
Revenge.
I think people. I don't know if this is like I'm probably being like an asshole, but I feel like people go into movies now, especially film Twitter. It's like they go into movies thinking of what they're going to rate this on Letterbox before they even watch the movie. So they're already
Hmm.
going with an idea, or they've seen people talking about it. They're already going. They've looked at Rotten Tomatoes. They've seen early reactions on Twitter from critics. It's like they already have this idea. Okay, well, this movie is like okay. So in my mind, I think it's going to be bad. I'm probably going to rate it a 2.5 out of 5. I haven't even seen the movie yet,
Yeah.
which is
Well, I
like a
think that
weird.
kind of
Is like a
like
weird
the
thing to like think about, like how people interact with. Because if you say you saw this in '93, you're not going to go online and talk about it. Who are you going to talk about it with? You're going to go to into maybe work the next day, being like, "Did you see Jurassic Park? Like, the
yeah,
movie was sick." Like,
that was
like
wild. It was insane.
yeah.
What the hell did we just witness?
But now it's just like there's so many early like reviews or like reactions to something that comes out 6 months from now, and they're like, and you're just like, so you have this all either built up, or you're like, wow, I heard it sucks. It's like, well, that's one person that said it sucked. Did you see the movie? Like, I
Yeah.
don't
There's like the desire to sort of stick out in
know.
a sea of people giving opinions and to
Hmm.
like give just like lukewarm responses to things like isn't cool. It's not going to get you notoriety on TikTok
Mm-hmm.
or Twitter or whatever. But I think the other thing, and this might not just be like a modern problem, and maybe just a problem that we've had for a little while when it comes to watching movies. I would say even sort of in the 90s is just like how we engage with the art form. And for me, I try to watch movies and I try to go into it thinking, or I go into it asking myself the question of like, okay, like what is this film's intention? What is the director's intention with like what they're trying to convey to me through this movie, whether it be story wise, thematically, politically, uh, ideologically, emotionally, like what is its intention in those regards? And then with that, while I'm watching the movie, how is it using the tools of cinema to convey those things to get across whatever messages it is that it's intending to communicate to me? Like how effective is it in using those tools to reach its intended goal?
Mm-hmm.
And something like Jurassic Park, if we're rating it on that scale, it knocks it out of the park in all regards, you know?
Pun intended.
Oh, out of the Jurassic Park. It took me a second. I was like, there's baseball?
No, I completely get what you're saying though.
You
Yeah, I
know,
feel
it's
like
like
just, but
is
again,
Hocus
like,
Pocus like reaching its in intended level of entertainment, and is it communicating that in an effective way? Like
mhm.
I'd say more so yes than no.
Yeah,
I don't think it's like
agree.
groundbreaking in any regard, but a film like Hocus Pocus can be groundbreaking. And
Hmm.
when we like don't allow a movie to be groundbreaking because of like what we think it's going to be, we're just like selling ourselves short from potentially witnessing something great.
Yeah. Well, it's
This
like
is an
this,
all-time death.
like this probably on paper, like, wait, dinosaurs, like they're gonna do what? Like essentially from like a studio standpoint, like, oh yeah, clever girl. Also, very subtle what he I think I just noticed this actually. So when him and Laura Dern first went to the raptor like area when they saw that he broke out, he takes his hat off and he looks around like really scared and then he puts it back
Hmm.
on. And then right there, before he was about to shoot, he took his hat off again.
Mm,
And then the raptor killed him,
because he
which
didn't
is
put his
very
hat back
interesting.
on.
Yeah, it's all about hats. You gotta put your hat on. It was
Always
really
keep your
interesting.
hat
I've
on.
never really noticed that. Like he takes his hat off there. Like why do you take his hat off? Like
Better shot.
yeah, he took his hat off
Also,
earlier.
quick
Again,
correction.
this this is me over analyzing the movie. Like why did he
No,
take his
no,
hat
it's great.
off?
We we need to know. Steven, tell us
And then
why
speed
Muldoon took his hat off.
he lives in the Palisades, like 20 minutes from me. So not 20 minutes, 20
Yeah,
miles. I'll go ask him. Hey Steven, I got a
yeah.
question for you.
Go drive up and
Like
ask him.
he like get the hell out of here. Like you
The correction that I needed to make. I think I called the kid Billy before, and it's his name is Timmy,
Timmy, yeah.
but it's kind of all the
Billy,
same shit. Billy,
Billy, Timmy,
Timmy,
Joey,
Johnny,
whatever,
yeah,
whatever.
Joe. It's all the same. Little like 10-year-old kid. They're pretty much
Yeah.
all the same.
They're all named like Timmy, Billy,
Yeah,
whatever.
he could be a Billy. Tommy even.
I love that like little thing. Like after all of that, like of course there's food still out. It's corporate
Hmm.
America. Like after all of that, you need the
Yeah, like
Jello
this
to
is
do that
still
that vibration again. The her shaking.
these are still like the extremely wealthy, you know?
Hmm.
Like they can suffer, but they can't suffer too much. They still need
Hmm.
a whole buffet.
We need the Jello of the shaking too.
Yeah. her screaming is top tier.
That would be terrifying.
Yeah, banger of a shot with the raptor sort of lining up with the picture of the raptor
Mhm.
on the screen behind them. Obviously, we will get one of the most insane shots in movie history a little bit later, and I'll save my words on that until then. But I think,
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but we'll,
yeah,
we'll until we get there.
we'll hold on.
Have
This
you ever
whole
have you ever
sequence,
have you ever seen sorry have you ever seen the on YouTube? It was like there's a channel that used to be like how it should have ended. They would always do
no,
movies. So like they did Jurassic Park and like the Raptors eventually got to the point where they learned dialogue, they learned English. Like so like it got because obviously they can open doors and stuff. So like
yeah,
they had it so where like the Raptors eventually started talking and how it should have ended. Like it got like
honestly fair.
when they're like it's the scene future like for the shot that's coming up that we're gonna talk about. In that scene when they're trying to like do like the whole security thing, the raptor starts like talking and he's like, wait, you guys have a gun and you haven't used it yet? He's like, where'd you even get that? He's like, where'd you even get that anyway? And he's like, never mind, I'll figure it out. And he runs away. Like
That's hilarious.
and then the raptor like sends them an email. Like he's like, I found the gun closet. Like lols. Like this is
That's
from the
so funny.
raptor.
With like emojis and stuff.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, it was like
So
a
that was a
random like
CG
YouTube.
shot right there.
Hmm.
Right. But then I think a lot of the Raptor stuff is guys in suits, which movies used to have a lot of, and that's a lost art. You want to talk about a lost art?
Hmm.
Guys in suits,
Guys in suits.
absolute lost
Mm,
art. We
like
Guillermo
the TV show suits.
and Doug Jones are still doing it. But besides that, is it Doug Jones? I hope I got his name right.
Duncan Jones, I believe. No? Oh, Doug
Mate,
Jones. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Duncan Jones is David Bowie's son as a director. So yeah, you're right. Duncan Jones.
Guillermo del
Duncan Jones
Toro
made like
and Duncan, Idaho. They're still doing guys in suits.
yeah. Yeah, Duncan Jones made like Warcraft and like Moon with Sam
Oh,
Rockwell.
nice.
I mean, this whole scene's fucking talk about blocking.
Absolutely insane. Well, I think he's noted, he being Spielberg, that he was inspired by the scene towards the end of The Shining with Danny
Hmm.
hiding from the Jack character. Also, okay, so her tapping the spoon right there, a few minutes maybe prior when they were hiding and like knocked up against the thing and the spoon fell, there was a tilted angle shot of that, which like usually indicates that there's something sort of off. But then we go back, and that's the tool that she uses to outsmart the Raptors, is
Hmm.
like an insane, like next level use of, again, the language of the cinema and like how we typically
Hmm.
understand it, and then like flipping it on its head. Spielberg, you madman.
And the shots of them running like that.
Yeah, like
Because I mean, like
Timmy, we were saying
when they
before.
did, yeah, when they did it earlier, like him going through the grass, it's like you're establishing that like type of low shot early. They did it. He'll be
They
lunch
lock
meat
her
next
in.
week.
They
He'll be
lock her
lunch
in
meat
like
next
Jack in The
week.
Shining. Yeah.
We need to get the hell out of here.
I do think it's funny
Basically.
that no matter how many times I've seen this movie and like how much of a point it is that all of the dinosaurs are female, I still always want to misgender them and call them male because, they're scary, and scary should
Hmm.
be guys. Like that's a nice lady. She can't be scary.
Hmm.
That raptor.
Yeah. But I think it makes them more terrifying though of like of how smart they like become. Like he just looks at him and then they look at the door handle and then you see the door handle just move.
Yeah.
Like that's terrifying. Also, they critique in the how it should have ended. Um, a little like Timmy here. You could easily like pick the gun up for them. Like, he's not even doing anything. He's just
He's
they're like,
useless.
I wish there was someone who's doing nothing right now that can hand me this gun, and just cuts to him being
Yeah.
like useless.
I mean,
He's
10-year-old
really
old
doing
kids, man.
nothing.
What are you gonna do with 10-year-old old kids?
Oh, that raptor sound, man.
Come on, Lex.
What an interesting hard drive layout. Like looks like a town. Like you're
Yeah. It's like she's like playing The Sims or something, or like Roller
going.
Coaster Tycoon. Yeah, Timmy's really being useless here, isn't
He's
he?
doing nothing. And once I saw that ending, I was like, I'm never gonna see him doing nothing in this scene. Like
Yeah. I mean,
he's
it is a
literally just
lot to
standing
ask of a
there.
10-year-old.
Yeah. Yo, dude, can you give me the shotgun?
Yeah. They just yell over like, Timmy, make yourself useful for
Yeah.
once.
The phones are working. Oh, here comes a classic Spielberg shot coming up here of an object on the ground, and he does a little close up on it right there. Always does
Mm,
that shot. Here comes your dino DNA.
yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, true. I mean,
Oof,
God, it's there
genius.
are there are so many amazing shots in this movie. But when you're talking about like a picture saying 1,000 words, there are like a million words to be said for that shot of the computer code of the dino DNA
Mhm.
on the raptor. Just
Like literally perfect. Like there's
yeah,
your you have that like it's like what if we had it like projecting essentially like the film grade looks like it's like DNA on him and you
yeah.
look at it in the lens, you'd be like, holy shit.
Holy shit. Like,
Like,
oh, we're saying so much. Is that just the great that sort of like
I think it's supposed to be like the reflection of the great makes it look like he
oh,
has dino DNA on him.
that's so funny. I've always read it as a reflection of like some sort of like computer code
Hmm. I think it's like the point. It's like it's also like a computer.
yeah. Like
Essentially,
the
they genetically made these people, or these not people, dinosaurs. So it's like,
yeah, like they're not really natural. They're all
mhm.
computer made.
But yeah, I
But
saw it
again,
as
I
like
mean, both
they're
of
up
those
there in the
readings,
great. They're up there in like the grates of the ceiling, and he's looking up, and like the great reflection with the light makes it look like there's DNA on him.
yeah. Timmy should have died about 8 times in this
I
movie.
know.
It's hilarious.
Damn, Timmy.
That's like my one big takeaway also from the first Lord of the Rings movie is that Frodo should have died about 1,000 times in that.
But he has a knee thrill.
Frodo and Timmy, are they the same character?
Yeah. Here it comes. There he is. It's like, oh, maybe T Rexes are cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Look at that bitch go. If a dog is a female, or if a female dog is a bitch, can we also call a female T-Rex a bitch?
I know they're all females here,
Is
so.
that is that the right technical term?
But I guess like even right here, like I've decided to not endorse. Like even Hammond's like, yeah, I know. Like the lawyer probably would still be like, no, we can still make this work. Like, get
Yeah.
money.
Come on.
Because when you get to the second one, Hammond's like, "Nah, we're not making that shit anymore." Like,
Yeah, you would
here you
hope after
go.
you almost kill your grandchildren that that you
And
wouldn't
the
want to make the park
dinosaurs
still.
ruled the earth. InGen. I'm sure they'll be coming back in
Isn't
later
there some
4 5 movies.
crazy thing where there's like the difference of time between like a stegosaurus and a T-Rex is like longer than the span of time between a T-Rex and humans?
Yeah, so like I think we live closer to when a T-Rex was alive than a T-Rex lived when like a Stegosaurus was alive or something, which is wild to think about.
That really messes me up whenever I think about that.
If I were on this helicopter, he'd be like, "That was some crazy shit, right, guys?"
Yeah. Wow.
Half of us died. Like,
We'll do it again next week.
we'll do it again in 4 years and make another movie. Yeah, look, he's the father figure now.
Wow. Steven, really just that's one of the cool things about filmmaking is like so many directors just like work through their childhood trauma through the films that they make.
Hmm.
Like so many great filmmakers are just like guys with daddy issues.
Hmm. I also have always loved the cut because like birds are essentially like descendants of dinosaurs,
Hmm.
and you cut to like a normal bird flying, like life finds a way to survive. Birds found a way to survive. Like
Yeah.
they're essentially dinosaurs.
And like, yeah, they're still here with us. Like, hey,
And you
let's
cut you
maybe appreciate like what we have here in the now
yeah.
instead of
Like
trying to, create something from some bygone era.
like the
Um,
last
if
the last animal you see is a bird. Like an normal bird,
yeah,
you'd be like, that's just a bird. And Michael Crichton did write David Cap, yeah.
nice. Sweet. Do we stick through the credits as well? Or do you
Um Not normally, but
I was just wondering if I still had to like
but no, we're gonna
be
watch Lost. We're gonna watch The Lost World now, and then we're gonna watch Jurassic Park 3, and
and
then
then
we're gonna watch. We're gonna be up all night watching all of
Jurassic World. Yeah. Sweet. And then it'll be the start of my workday.
it. This podcast is hosted and edited by Pat Brennan. That's me, with intro and closing music by Patrick Baxter.